Hey everybody on YouTube, welcome to my ATEM Mini Pro live demo and Q&A. I've already had a load of questions already in, so I'm going to try and get through those as quick as possible and answer as many as I can. But as we're going through and as I'm answering, feel free to put more in the chat and I'll just grab them, display them on screen, and we'll work our way through them. I am, like the first question I've had in is, are you going to do a demonstration of what it's like to stream from the ATEM Mini Pro? Because I know a lot of people have been wanting to see what the quality is like straight out the box, not using any software encoders, not using anything like OBS or eCams, which I know is available on the Mac right now, but just doing it from the hardware itself. This stream is being done solely on the ATEM Mini Pro, so this is the kind of quality that you can expect. I'll tell you what streaming profile that I'm using right now. It is, let me go in and see which one I selected. Under live stream, I am using the HyperDeck Low, and I can see on my screen here, I'll show you some of this in a second as we go through, that my data rate's about 17 megabytes per second upload. This is also being streamed in 1080p 50, because that's what I have my ATEM switcher set to. And what I will say is, I'm still working out colors. I'm using my Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K at the moment, and I don't have a brilliant lens on there, so I'm still working out autofocus and things like, or not autofocus, but with the way that the ATEM Mini Pro talks to the Pocket Cinema cameras, I'm able to focus using the software control panel. So you'll see here, you'll see a little flicker. If I go in fact, let me show you this on the screen. So if I just cut to here for you, there we go. You'll see I've got control of my cameras, and the camera that I'm using right now is actually on camera 3. In fact, I might be able to put myself picture in picture. There we go. And I've got this little focus button up here, and that's an autofocus button, and that is how I'm actually focusing the camera, because it's actually quite far away from me. So I can pull focus using that. I've got the manual focus wheel down here as well if I need it. But yeah, I'm playing around with some settings, having some fun with the ATEM Mini Pro, but you get an idea of the type of quality that you can expect from the ATEM Mini Pro right out of the device itself. I'm using the HyperDeck Low profile, as I say, 50 frames per second, and right now I'm seeing the data rate at about 17, 18 megabytes per second. Lots of questions coming in. Let's say hello to some people. We've got Virtual Dinner Party. Hello, everyone. New streamer here and looking forward to this. Welcome. I'm going to try and do more of these streams and answer more of your questions throughout the week as well, especially as we're all in lockdown. So I thought hopefully this helps those that are expecting ATEM Mini Pros and have got them on the way. I have heard that they have started shipping out. Any way to set up audio delay when working with external mixer? Yep, that's one of the questions I'm going to be covering. In fact, let's dive straight into the questions. Also, if you want to see anything, I've got various cameras around. Just shout. I'll show you stuff that's going on the ATEM Mini Pro. But let's get into the first couple of questions that we've got in then. Question number 1, this was from Judy Katz. It says, Alex and all, what monitors would you recommend for multi-viewing? Don't want to break the bank, but would like something that could be taken into the field and is not too large. Good question there from Judy. That one, yeah. So what I'm using right now, and I can actually show you, I'll pull out a second camera, and what I tend to use in the field the most is actually a Blackmagic Video Assist 7-inch monitor. Let me pull out this second camera, and I can show you the type of setup that I'm working on right now. We're going to be talking, because some of the questions have been, what cameras would you recommend and things like that. But yeah, let me cut to this camera now so you guys can see. That's the camera that I'm using. It's a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K. And then my setup down here on the desk, I've got my ATEM Mini Pro all plugged in. Excuse the very messy desk. I've been doing various productions throughout the week. My ATEM Mini Pro is all plugged in, and that's what we're using to stream right now. And then I've also got, as I say, the Blackmagic Video Assist, which is currently running my multi-view. You can see the levels there are being shown. I've also just looped out of the Video Assist to a larger monitor so that I can actually see what's going on. So that's the kind of setup that I'm using right now. In fact, you know what? I'll hit record on this as well, just to be sure that we got a good clean recording of this. And then, yeah, this is the setup of the ATEM Mini Pro. I've got various inputs, which I'll go through and explain what they are. I'm using all 4 inputs on this stream. And then I've got the output here, which is going to the Video Assist. And then that's just being mirrored onto a larger display as well. So why do I recommend the Video Assist as a good monitor, especially if you're wanting to go outdoors and not just be stuck in a studio. One, hold on, put this camera back down. One, I would say that the image quality, of course, it's a 4K monitor, even though it's 7-inch size. The color reproduction and the quality of the monitor is really good. But one of the main reasons I love using it is, or two, especially in this sort of workflow. One, if you are out and about, there's two, I can't show you because I can't move it, but there's battery slots on the outside. They just take Canon L batteries, two Canon L batteries, and then it's completely mobile. You don't need to plug it into power at all. So I love that for that reason. The other reason is it's got a headphone output that you on the side. So like I'm doing right now, my headphones are actually plugged into the Video Assist monitor, and I can hear. That is one way to monitor your audio coming out of the ATEM Mini Pro, because from the HDMI out of the ATEM Mini Pro, it does give you audio no matter what, whether you're on multi-view or program out, whatever comes out of the HDMI output, you can also use for audio monitoring as well. So that's what I'd recommend. If you're wanting to go in studio, really it's anything that can take, like if you don't want to be mobile, really it's anything that can take an HDMI output. So you can see I've got it running on a TV here as well. But yeah, I tend to go for most of the mobile stuff, the Blackmagic Video Assist 7-inch model. I've got some of the smaller ones. They don't have as many ports, so I like that bigger one. So thank you for the question, Judy. I will do my best to work through a lot more. I saw a couple of you mention in the chat about the graphics. This broadcast, as I mentioned, is being completely done on the ATEM Mini Pro. So for those of you that have been asking over the past couple of weeks about, the ATEM Mini Pro is really limited because you've only got a still store. This is living proof that actually you can do a lot more. And I'll be showing in the weeks to come on my channel how to do stuff like real-time graphics that you saw there, video graphics and things like that, with the questions coming in the next few weeks. So I'll be answering all of those questions and doing more and more demos on my channel about how I'm doing that, especially as I'm pulling your comments from YouTube in real time, putting them into a graphics engine, and then putting them into the ATEM Mini Pro. Right, let me try and, I'll tell you what, we'll throw another question up into YouTube, onto this stream. There was a follow-up one just on this I just saw, which was from Will Evans. I'll quickly answer this. Can I use multi-view on the ATEM Mini Pro with the 4K monitor by Blackmagic? I've just answered that. Yes. One thing I will say is the HDMI out of the ATEM Mini isn't at 4K. It's at 1080p. So you can certainly use a 4K monitor, but it will be a 1080p signal. We've had another one in from Adrian Chow Photography. He says, Alex, thank you very much for all your great content. My ATEM Mini Pro arrives tomorrow. What would you recommend as the best way to play pre-recorded video clips as part of my stream? The media manager can only handle stills, right? I guess I need to use one of my HDMI inputs on the ATEM Mini Pro and play the clips from some device. Thanks. Really good question. Kind of along the same lines as what we've already chatted about or that I just mentioned. Yes, out of the box, the ATEM Mini Pro, I'll show you if I throw up the software control panel. And let's make that full screen for you guys so that you can see it a bit better. There we go. You'll see I'll bring up picture in picture so you can see me as well. You'll see, you know what, let's get rid of the graphics. There we go. So I'm in the camera control section at the moment. The main control panel is here. This is where all the switching and the settings are done. And then we have a media pool as well. So in the media pool, that is just stills. So unlike the larger ATEM models, you can't put in video clips or stinger transitions and things like that. It is just stills with the ATEM Mini and the ATEM Mini Pro. However, you've got 4 HDMI inputs on your ATEM Mini Pro. Now, it's unlikely you're going to use all 4 for cameras. If you're doing that, the likelihood is you're going to want to upgrade to a bigger switcher anyway. So one of those inputs, I always say dedicate to a VT playout machine or some way of playing in videos. And the easiest way I've found to do it, there's 2, but this is certainly the easiest way to do it, is pick up one of these. It is a HyperDeck Mini. Blackmagic sells them, HyperDeck Studio Mini, and essentially what it allows you to do is put in an SD card with all your video clips on, And then on the back, it does have professional SDI outputs on. So you've got key and fill SDI if you want to upgrade to bigger production switches in the future. But it also has an HDMI out on the back as well. So you can go straight from the HDMI out of the Hyperdeck Studio Mini into your Blackmagic ATEM Mini Pro, and then you can play clips from the Hyperdeck into the ATEM Mini. Now, the reason I like this workflow is because if you have everything networked up, and we'll talk about Ethernet cables in a second, but if you have everything networked up, so you've got this plugged into the network, you've got your ATEM Mini Pro plugged into your network, your computer on the same network running the software control, there is a function within the ATEM setup for Hyperdecks called auto roll. And the brilliant thing about this is what it will essentially allow you to do is you would queue up the clip that you want to play, and as soon as you take that input, so let's say that this is plugged into HDMI 4 on the ATEM Mini Pro, as soon as I cut to HDMI 4, it automatically starts playing the clip. So I don't have to worry about going over to the Hyperdeck, hitting play, then cutting to camera 4. It does it all automatically for you. And that's why I tend to advise people to pick up one of these, because if you put it all networked with the ATEM Mini Pro, it does a lot of the legwork for you. So yeah, you can check those out. They're on Blackmagic's website as well. The other way, of course, of doing it is you can just take the HDMI out of, say, a computer and have QuickTime playing full screen. If you want a really simple, easy playout solution, HDMI out, full screen, QuickTime running, hit play on your computer, and then cut to the camera or cut to that input on your ATEM Mini Pro, and that will work. And of course, sound is carried down the HDMI with the ATEM Mini Pro. So all you have to do is turn on the sound physically on the device for that channel, and you'll get sound as well. You don't have to worry about any audio routing or anything like that. Thank you everyone that's joining and commenting. I'm going to quickly skim through some of the YouTube comments. We'll get more of those on screen as well. Who have we got in here? So we have, I've already mentioned virtual dinner party. Digital media, welcome. 60 digital media. Aiden Glay says, when you say 17 megabytes per second, do you mean MB? Yeah, sorry, my bad. So it's upload speed, 17. I say megabytes per second, but it's MB per second, however you want to say it. Hello there, I just received this is from Captain Vibe Show. I just received the Mini Pro, but I'm having trouble to stream. Please, can you help? Let me give you some advice about starting up a stream. With the ATEM Mini Pro, it's incredibly simple. Now, I don't want to, let me just flip here and change some of the stuff so that I can show you. That's fine. Right, so if I cut to number 4, here, you should see the screen full screen, and I will also put myself on here as well. It's covering the part I need, so I'll take myself off. But this is the main controller. As long as you're seeing your output to stream, first thing you need an internet connection going into your ATEM Mini Pro. So maybe let me backtrack a little and answer a different question first that a lot of people are asking, which is, can you have everything hardwired? Can you have it all networked? Because a lot of people were confused by the method that Grant showed on the original unveiling of the ATEM Mini Pro, where he had a Mac, he plugged the Mac, an Ethernet cable from the Mac into the ATEM Mini Pro, and then shared his internet connection from the Mac to the ATEM Mini Pro. And a lot of people thought, oh, that's the way you've got to do it. You can't just have everything on the same network. No, you can. It's really simple. And again, I'm going to bring out this second camera to show you exactly what my setup is so that you can physically see it working right now. So let's turn this on. I'll flip back to multi-view here, and we'll cut to this camera. So here we have my ATEM Mini Pro. Now you can see this is my network cable here. It's a black network cable, and it just runs down the back of that TV under, hopefully it's not too dark and you guys can see it. I've got some cable management going here, but can you see the network, all the green flashing lights? That is my Netgear router, and it is plugged into that Netgear switch. Sorry, not router. It's plugged into that Netgear switch up there. And all my other devices on this desk, so this laptop here is also plugged in. You can see that white network cable. That is plugged into that switch. I've got another laptop here plugged into that switch. Everything is plugged into that network switch. And of course, I'm providing that network switch with internet as well. So it's plugged into my home broadband router, and that's how everything is networked and getting an internet connection. Put that back. And then all I have to do, so everything's networked up. The only thing I then had to do for everything to talk to each other was really simple. Let me flick back to the control surface again. I'll put myself up here so you guys can see me. Up in the top corner of the ATEM software control, you've got to make sure everything's on the latest software update. You click on File, you click on the ATEM software control, click Connection, and now with the ATEM software control, what they've done is they've made it so that you don't actually need to input any IP addresses. It will discover any devices on the network down here. So simply click that, click ATEM Mini Pro, hit connect, and that's it. Everything's connected and everything works. And you only have to do that once. You can then leave it and everything works as expected. So that answers the question that a lot of people had of, can you hardwire everything? Because now my Mac is hardwired in, so that's getting hardwired internet connection. The ATEM Mini Pro is getting hardwired internet connection. Again, the HyperDeck, if I was doing the HyperDeck Studio, that would be hardwired in, and you just get a much more robust setup. So yeah, I hope that answers that question, which did kind of made me lose the pre-question that I was actually answering though. I'm having trouble starting a stream. That one was from Captain Vibe Show. So that's what I was going through. Then to actually start a stream, it couldn't be easier. So you've provided an internet connection with your ATEM Mini Pro. Back in the software, you've got this new output tab up here. And then you have a live stream option here. Now I'm using it, so it probably won't let me change anything. And you can see we've been on air for me half an hour. I've been sending a stream a little bit earlier. But you basically are able to just select which platform you want. For YouTube, they let you stream to 2 destinations, a primary and a backup. You put your stream key in there, and then this is where you choose your quality. So for me, I'm using, as I say, HyperDeck Low as a streaming quality because I've got the bandwidth to be able to do so. And then you simply click on air. Now you can do the same, or you can start the stream with the physical buttons on the device. There's an on air button there, and you hit that, and then you're all good. Just flicking back there, one thing that I would advise having is status, and you can see we're on air right now. I'm pulling 7.4 megabits per second. Oh, it's just brought right down. Let me flip back. That's interesting. We'll have to monitor that, whether my internet's just struggling for a second. See what, I'm not sure that figure's correct because I'm watching the stream back, and actually the stream quality seems fine. So we'll see. But yeah, usually that's reading at about 18 for me, but not at the moment. We'll see. And that is how you start a stream. It really couldn't be simpler. Very strange that number is that low at the moment. Oh, there we go. I've switched off and it's back up to 18. So maybe it's something to do with when you switch to a certain source. Anyway. Where are we? Let me get some more questions in from you guys. What have we got here? There's this one from Mark. Mark says, can you record on your actual DSLR camera while doing clean HDMI output on the ATEM Mini? In other words, can I record high quality on my physical camera while simultaneously sending the HDMI output to the ATEM? Perhaps it's a camera dependent thing though. Really good question. And in 99% of instances, Mark, the answer is absolutely yes. You see me here. I'm using a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K, which is this main one. I've also got here, if it's not tangled in cables, there we go. I've also got here a Sony A6300. Both of these will allow you to output clean HDMI while recording on the device as well. And what that allows you to do is, as you say, give us a 1080p feed, for example, to the stream. But if these cameras shoot 4K, you can also record in them 4K. So especially with the Blackmagics, when they announced the ATEM Mini Pro, they announced a new feature, which I'll again cut to here and show you. We'll take the question off for a second. And I'll probably take myself off so you guys can see this. But here, under the output tab, if you go to recording, well, they announced two features. First of all, a timecode generator, so that's going to really help you in the edit, sync everything up, because the timecode gets sent to all Blackmagic cameras and is on the recording as well. It is just Blackmagic cameras for now, but you've also got here record in all cameras. So if you tick that, when you hit the record button, what that's going to do is tell the Blackmagic cameras, again, this is all for just Blackmagic cameras, unfortunately, at the moment, but that's going to tell all the Blackmagic cameras that you've got, the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema cameras, to record internally, as well as the ATEM Mini Pro also recording. They're all going to be timecode synced, so it means when you go back to do the edit afterwards, you've done your 1080p live stream and it's all color graded and it looked great live, but when you go to do the edit afterwards, you have got Blackmagic RAW, so you've got all that data, it's like flat and you can just recolor grade it essentially as you want. Blackmagic RAW, 4K or 6K depending on which camera you've got, video files or ISO recordings, all timecode synced, so you just drag the files into a multicam bin in DaVinci and they all sync up perfectly. Plus you've also got a timecode synced multicam edit as well, which you can reference of. I said in my original video, the only thing for me that I would love to see brought out in the future is a log file, so that I can also throw into that multicam bin a file that says, okay, at this timestamp you cut to camera 1, and it will then make all those changes in the edit automatically, so that I don't have to go and multicam clip everything. It's just my exact clip that I did on the live stream, but now in beautiful 4 or 6K Blackmagic RAW files that I can really spend time working on. So yeah, to answer your question, most cameras will allow you to output HDMI, clean feed, and record on them at the same time. Certainly all the ones that I've been using have. And they don't even have to be like pro cameras. Most of the consumer Sonys and things like that will allow for it. Are they shipping you ordered yours a couple of weeks ago? Don, I don't have any inside information. Thank you for the question. I don't have any inside information about shipping dates, especially globally. All I will say, or all I've heard, is that their production schedule, they're on track, and that units have already been shipping out. And some people in the chat, I'm sure, will vouch for this, that they're already starting to receive theirs. So if you did pre-order, fingers crossed, you don't have to wait much longer. But obviously, we're in lockdown times. Who knows how long things are going to take to turn up at your doorstep, but hopefully not too long. Let's fire up. I'm seeing quite a lot of questions. Adrian, I did actually answer one of your questions before on screen. I don't know if you're in the chat. It was your one about, what was it about? Let's see. The one you said, my ATEM is but tomorrow. Would you recommend a way? Oh yeah, so how to play pre-recorded content. We covered that. Ooh, who else have we got? Can audio from the stereo jack connectors be slipped 1 to 2 frames in order for the lip synchronization with the HDMI video? Thanks for sharing. Good question. So this is audio delay question. I actually asked Blackmagic this. I was like, has the ATEM Mini Pro, or do you plan for the ATEM Mini Pro to have an audio delay feature so that if there is a synchronization issue, people could just budge or delay the audio 2 or 3 frames just to get it back in sync? The response I have at the moment is they haven't implemented it yet, and as far as my contact knew, they weren't planning to. They repeated that there's a number of ways to delay the audio, either before it gets into the ATEM Mini Pro or afterwards, depending on your workflow. But actually on the unit itself, they haven't got a delay. Now, some advice from me about things that you could try. Number one, whenever I'm putting audio into my ATEM Mini Pro, I'm actually not often putting it in using the 1/4 inch, the stereo jacks on the back. I usually take the audio into one of my Blackmagic cameras, the inputs, same input, exactly the same stereo jack, into my camera, so that it's more likely to sync, because then you're not having a delay as such. It's being added to the camera at the exact same time, and it's one HDMI feed going into the ATEM Mini Pro. So give that a go first of all, see if that helps. The other thing, of course, you can do is you can delay, if you're using the USB output to take it to a software, something like OBS, and then encoding it in that. You can, of course, delay the audio in that by a couple of frames as well. And if you're using an audio mixer that has a delay function before you take the audio to the ATEM Mini Pro, you can delay in the mixer and then take your audio to the ATEM Mini Pro. So I hope those are some solutions for you if you're struggling with audio sync. But to be honest, it's not really an issue that I personally have run into. But I know some musicians that say just 1 or 2 frames can really make a difference if you're hitting a drum or something like that. Let's get another question on screen. What have we got? Here's one. Interestingly, the word or the buzzword right now during these times is Zoom. So this one's from Simon, is it Grant? Yeah, Simon Grant. He says, now that Zoom is ubiquitous, how can the Mini Pro use multiple cameras to improve the presentation? And is it possible to simultaneously record the event to host in a client library, separate from the Zoom interactions? Can this device completely eliminate the need for a dedicated computer to manage and render the stream, allowing to simply use the client's hardware for simple streaming? There's a lot of questions in that one, actually. Let me try and break that down a little bit for all of you guys. So firstly, Zoom, incredible platform right now, very much being used for us all to stay connected, and also being used professionally as well for webinars, meetings, and things like that. You can absolutely use something like the ATEM Mini or the ATEM Mini Pro even for Zoom, simply because all your devices, your Mac, PC, whatever it is you're using, over the USB output from the ATEM Mini Pro, it sees that as a webcam input. So it's not like you have to install any drivers or anything like that. You just plug the USB-C cable into your device, and then the computer that you're using will see the feed from the ATEM Mini Pro, and it will get the audio as well from the ATEM Mini Pro. So for that reason, you can absolutely use it with Zoom, and I could fire my Zoom up right here and show you, but I don't really feel the need to. You guys, you know what? Let's do it. Actually, I can't because I haven't plugged in a USB-C cable, because instead I'm using the USB-C to record. So that's one interesting thing. You can't do both USB-C recording with the ATEM Mini Pro and USB output. It's either or. You have to pick. So no, I can't show you that right now. But yes, if you were wanting to use the USB-C output, it would show up as a webcam in Zoom, and then you can absolutely up your production quality. You've got 4 cameras to choose from if you wanted to go absolutely wild with Zoom. You could use the advanced chroma keyer, which is inside the ATEM Mini Pro, and key out backgrounds and put yourself wherever. And so that is one very easy way to up the quality of your Zooms, especially as you're not going to be using a 720p MacBook webcam, for example. You're going to be using a 1080p DSLR quality, so that's already going to improve the look and feel of your Zoom calls. The other part of your question was, can this device completely eliminate the need for a dedicated computer to manage and render the stream? Yes, because it has the internal hardware encoder, or the live streaming engine, I think Blackmagic call it. So I'm not going to say you don't need a computer at all to use this thing, because of course there's some parts that you have to set up inside the ATEM Mini software control. So you need to like put in your stream key and things like that. But once you've done that, you just hit one button that says on air, and that's doing all the work. So you don't need to spend a lot of money on a secondary streaming computer, because it's all built in. You don't even need anything like OBS or any software, streaming software, because again, you've got that built-in hardware encoder to do the work for you. So I hope that answers your 2 questions there. Let's go to the live chat. I want to get some of the live chat questions in. A lot of your questions, to be fair, are when will it ship, which I have no info, I'm afraid. Yes, you can stream directly with the Pro. Mansplainer asks, no computer needed. Exactly. ATEM Mini Pro plus Rodecaster, what is the best audio workflow to avoid delays, says Jose Riviera. I actually used this exact setup, the ATEM Mini Pro. I actually used the ATEM Mini before I got the Pro with a Rode Procaster. And the setup that I used, and I display it in one of my other videos. So if you go back on my channel, there's a video called my live streaming backpack, I think it is. It's only a couple of weeks old. And in there, I show you how I use the Rode Procaster for audio with the ATEM Mini. Now let me grab a cable and show you this cable. Here we go. So this is the cable that I use for, this is going to be interesting because, yeah, if I bring it there, you guys can see it. So it is the stereo mini jack that goes into the back of the ATEM Mini Pro, or the Blackmagic cameras that I use. And then you've got 2 1/4-inch left and right jacks as well, and that goes into the outputs of the Rode Procaster, and that's how you're going to get audio from the Procaster into the ATEM Mini. Sounds fantastic. We use it with Shure SM7B microphones, crisp, love it, brilliant. In terms of audio delay, again, because I feed it directly into my Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, I don't see any delay personally. Rick, good question in the chat, has asked, and a lot of people have asked this. Let's see if I can get the question on screen. Here we go. So Rick asked it, but also Manish as well. Is it possible to stream multiple platforms simultaneously, like Facebook and YouTube, at the same time? The answer is yes. Now, it's not necessarily a ATEM Mini Pro thing or a Blackmagic thing, but essentially what you would do, and I'm going to have again a full tutorial on how to do this step by step using the ATEM Mini Pro. So if you're new here, do hit the subscribe button. I've got a bunch of tutorials and videos coming along. So yeah, make sure if this is the first time you've seen me, hit the subscribe button. I'm Alex Pettit. I do a lot of tutorials and tech broadcast videos to teach you how to make the full use of these things. So to answer the question, essentially the answer is yes. What you would do is, well, let me backtrack a little bit. The ATEM Mini Pro comes set up with 3 what they call streaming destinations: Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. However, they do still give you the ability to edit it's called an XML file, but it's essentially like a setup file. You can edit that setup file and add in any other streaming locations that you want. Now, what isn't available, or that I haven't tested yet, and I don't know anyone else that's been able to do it, is you can't in that streaming profile say stream to this Facebook page and also stream to this YouTube page. However, you can use third-party services like Restream, Caster, Grabio is another one I use a lot, and you can stream to that destination from your ATEM Mini Pro. And then those services are all distribution services. So once that service receives your broadcast from the ATEM Mini Pro, it just passes it along. It doesn't touch it. It doesn't change the resolution or the bitrate or anything like that. It just splits it to all the destinations that you want. So that then sends it to Facebook, Twitter, well, not Instagram, although you can live stream to Instagram, Twitch, anywhere else, Periscope. And so yeah, in effect, you can actually live stream without a computer or without needing software encoding, using the hardware encoder on the Blackmagic ATEM Mini Pro to as many locations as you want. You just need to do it in conjunction with one of these third-party services. And as I say, I'll be doing a full tutorial how to use something like Restream or Caster with the ATEM Mini Pro, showing you how to find the streaming XML file, edit it to add your Restream account in there, and then showing you also how to use Restream to distribute it to all those platforms. So yes, it absolutely is possible, and that really is one of the things that makes this product so powerful as well. I've had this for about a week now. It's brilliant. I'm not even just saying that. It's so good. A device that allows me to, essentially what I did the other day, get out of bed, walk to my desk here, flick on the power, and then the only other thing I need to do, because my cameras and the lights automatically come on, the only other thing I need to do is press the one on-air button on the device, and I'm streaming. I'm live. That shouldn't be that easy, and it's putting many people out, or it will put many people out of a job, including myself. Blackmagic are making it too easy for the everyday person to go live in very good quality. Let's take some more questions, shall we? Can we use the mixer to do both live stream and live display on a screen for the audience? This has been another really popular question, because if you're wanting to use the multi-view, so let's just get one thing clear. The multi-view can only be output on the HDMI out from the ATEM Mini Pro. You can't put the multi-view on the USB output and then show that on your computer screen, for example. It has to come out of the HDMI output. So that means if you're using multi-view, there really isn't a way of having another HDMI to plug into a projector or a screen. However, I have a workaround, and bear with me with this one for a second, guys. Useful for you. So essentially, if you're wanting to live stream and use the multi-view and output to a external display to show an audience member or something like that, here's my suggestion. You're going to use the internal live streaming encoder on the ATEM Mini Pro to live stream. You're then going to use the, what did I say, multi-view. You're going to use the HDMI out for the multi-view because that's the only way to do it, which leaves you with the USB-C output. That gives you program out. Again, that's not selectable. You have to have program out, but that's what you want to display on a screen anyway. So you're going to take that into your, let's say Mac, could be a PC, running either OBS or QuickTime, something that displays the video. You're going to plug into your computer an external display. So something like a computer screen or a projector. And you're going to open up OBS or open up QuickTime, put it full screen, drag it to the external display, and technically, yes, you're live streaming, you've got your multi-view, and you've got your program out on a monitor. Now, I'm by no means recommending this or saying that this is a good way to do it in a professional level, but it solves a problem that a lot of people have asked. So give it a go. I haven't tried it yet. Let me know what you guys think if you do try this. If you're using QuickTime, it's fine. You just open up the feed and make it full screen. If you're using OBS, you can right-click on the program output and say output to this screen or output to this window. So yeah, give that a try. Let me go back here and get some more questions. We've got this one, maybe this one. Can I? I've kind of covered that already. Let me check more of the live chat. Can you only use ATEM Mini software to switch between cameras, or do you have an ATEM Mini Pro to do so? Can you only use the ATEM Mini software to switch between? So this is from Quint. I think he's asking if you have to use the software to switch between cameras, or can you use the hardware? If that's what you're asking, Quint, let me just show you. I'll get the second camera out as well. You don't have to really touch the software to switch cameras. Again, you'll just see there. So in terms of the hardware buttons that you have on the ATEM Mini Pro, I'll try and stay as still as possible. This is your source buttons. So any one of these, if I click 3, that will go back to me. And then 2 goes back to there. So you can see I'm not using the software, I'm using the hardware. All of these are to do with audio up here. So audio levels, where I want the audio coming in from, if I want it to audio follow video or anything like that. Again, more audio options up here with the mic inputs. I've got my still, so if I wanted to cut to the still, there it is. And on this side, this is really the new side. This is where I'm choosing what I want displayed on my screen. So you can see I've got multi-view at the moment, and I'm seeing my multi-view. But if I wanted to see program on that big screen, there we go. Oh, that's a bit trippy, but you can check out that little monitor. It makes more sense. So again, multi-view there. Or if I want to view any of the sources, I could go to number 2 here. I'm not sure. It's a bit confusing actually as to whether you guys are seeing it or not. But yeah, you can see it changing. I've got my sources 2, 3, 4 there, multi-view program. Number 1 is just blank because that is what I'm using for graphics at the moment. So yeah, you can definitely use the hardware buttons. Of course, the other new buttons are up here. And these are, you can see we're on air right now. If I click that, I wouldn't be on air anymore. And then I've got the record and the stop buttons as well here. So yeah, you can use that. Ooh, I can see where, this is interesting. So my internet speed, I'll just bring this back up. One of the things about the new ATEM Mini Pro is it has a cache. So I can see it's starting to use more of my cache because my internet speed dropped earlier. So what I may do is drop that streaming profile down so that it's not using as much. So that's really interesting. This new screen allows you to monitor how your stream health is doing, and I can see it's using 79% of the cache. So I might have to drop the, yeah, it's going up. So I'll drop the streaming profile a little bit. Because we don't want to do it. So the stream will just cut out for a second while I do this, and that's no problem, but I'll be back. I just need to change the streaming profile to make it use a lower one. So we can just go off air for a second. There we go. And now if I go back to multi-view, cache is okay, and the data rate isn't as high. There we go, so we're back. Sorry for those of you that had a longer pause than expected. Oh, that's interesting. Let me refresh that. I've got multiple windows open, so I don't think that helps either. There we go. That's better. Now I can hear everything and see everything. Sorry about that delay, guys. So yeah, one of the things I just experienced there is my internet speed drastically dropped. I don't know why. One of the things that they've been doing in the UK is limiting the internet speeds and the quality that you're able to put out because of lockdown and how many people are using the internet. So my internet speed randomly just drastically dropped there. And so what the ATEM did, which is good, is it started banking all the frames that it wasn't able to send to the internal cache. But obviously I didn't want the show to completely go down. So I decided to just drop the bitrate because I was already using a high bitrate. I dropped down a streaming profile. Now everything's okay. So one of the things that I would, much better now, good. One of the things that I would highly recommend you doing before ever starting a live stream is do a speed test on the line that you're going to do. And a lot of people say choose a bitrate for streaming or a streaming profile that is somewhere between 50% and 25% of what your line is. Because then, like I just had, if you get a drastic drop, you've still got a headroom. So if suddenly your line does drop 50%, then you're still got enough headroom to get you by. I chanced it simply because I wanted to see what the maximum I could put out was. This isn't a professional stream for a client. I'd never do anything like that for a client. This is just my own channel, and I wanted to see what the quality would be like. So let's go back to a few more comments. I'm going to wrap this up, I reckon, in about 15 or so minutes. I'll do another one of these. Let me know in the chat if you found this useful and if you found this broadcast helpful in making decisions about whether you get an ATEM Mini Pro or helping you just set yours up or anything like that. I'd love to know whether it's worth me continuing this as a series. So your feedback is very much appreciated. Can I overlay text on the lower thirds part of the screen? A bit like this is what you're asking? So this is one of the questions we had in about graphics, funnily enough. So I'll read this one out as well, and I'll answer both at the same time. Can I live stream and be able to use two overlay graphics at the same time? For example, in an interview, I must have my channel logo up on the top left, but be able to bring in a lower third anytime I want. And most importantly, can this be done directly in the ATEM Mini Pro without feeding it to anywhere like OBS or other software in order to keep the highest possible encoding reliability? Well, the simple answer is yes. You can see it being done right now. For example, I've got the lower third that animated on, and I'm using the ATEM Mini Pro to encode this, as I say. So I've got the lower third, which you saw animate on. I've also now just put on the subscribe bug up here, so you can have multiple things on screen. Now, how am I doing this? Again, I'm going to do a much more detailed descriptive tutorial video about how I'm doing these animation graphics, because as the question asks, you only have a still store in the ATEM Mini Pro. So how are you doing animated graphics? I'm using essentially a third-party graphics package and bringing that in through one of the HDMIs, and then I'm keying it out there because the ATEM Mini Pro doesn't have like a key and a fill, so you can't do that. So what I'm essentially doing is there's two ways of doing it. You can use the chroma keyer or the luma keyer to key out the background and keep in the stuff you want. And that's how I'm doing it. And this allows me to have so much flexibility with graphics, and not just static graphics like bugs, like you said, you wanted your company logo in the top corner. But as you can see, bringing stuff on, animated graphics, I can do countdowns and stuff like that. I'm gonna, as I say, make sure you subscribe, because I am gonna do a much more detailed video about what graphics package I'm using, because I believe it's still free. And it's a really powerful graphics package in the cloud as well. So one of the cool things, right, it doesn't matter where I am in the world. I've got a computer here. I can bring on a graphic on this computer. This is the one that talks. And you saw I didn't actually bring the graphic off and then back in. It just updated because I chose a different comment. So I can bring the graphic on this computer and then switch to this computer because it's all happening in the cloud, and do this question here from Kuma. Is this enough for cricket live streaming? Can we run cricket scores through the device? Again, another kind of graphics question using this graphics package. I can do scoreboards, and I can even link it to update in real time without me having to do anything. So it can just pull the data from external APIs we're getting really technical now, but it could, if we wanted to, pull the data from external APIs and then automatically update the scores without you having to touch anything. So yeah, really cool stuff. And again, this is all using the ATEM Mini Pro and then adding on third-party things to make a workflow that is very powerful for such a low price. I mean, this thing costs $500 or something. Okay, a few more questions. I mean, overlaying text, like putting lyrics on church. Yep, you could do stuff like that. Who is that from? Randrev, I think it was, or Randev. My eyes are going, guys. It's not good. Gary sounds like, yep. So there's software like Title Live and things like that. As I say, this one's in the cloud. I'll be doing a full video on it. So you guys, don't worry. I'm not going to keep any secrets. You guys will know. Can you use XLR microphones? If you go into a mixer, so if you go into an external audio mixer and then out from the mixer to into your camera or into the ATEM Mini Pro, yeah, you can use whatever microphones you want. Can you use your second camera and show us the screen of the laptop which you're using to show overlay graphics, just to understand a bit better? Yeah, I'm happy to do that for you guys. So wait for that to turn on. Right. Cut to this camera for you. So essentially what I have here is a bank of all your comments, right? And when I press, let's say, when I press this one, there we go. You see the comment coming in about EDLFR, or if we want the multi-view, there we go. You see them all coming in. And then I can also, I can preview them. So by clicking on them, I can preview each comment and I can see all the text in here. So if I need to edit any of them as well, I can just go in and take some parts out. So yeah, it's a very powerful third-party graphic system. Let's go back to a few more of your comments. Okay, thanks. What software is this? As I say, I'll be doing a full video about the software and how I hook it up to the ATEM Mini Pro. If I go into it now, I'll be talking for ages. So I'm just going to do a video on it. It'll be up in my channel within the next couple of weeks. What camera am I using right now? This is the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K. I'm not happy with, I'm using a Lumix. It's quite a cheap Lumix lens. I just wanted to get a lens that I could throw into a bag and use. I'm not necessarily massively happy with the lens I'm using right now because I don't think it gives a really sharp shot. So one of the cool things I can do with the, let me just flick onto this screen. I'm going to focus the camera because I can focus the camera remotely now, which is crazy because of the new camera control over HDMI. So like I can, if I flip back here, what do I want to do? I want to go multi-view. No, I want to do this. So I can play around, let's say with the focus. So if I do this, I can defocus myself remotely. Like I'm a geek for that sort of stuff. That's incredible. And then I can also, again, if I just show you this screen. So all I'm doing here is I've got a focus wheel here and I'm just pulling focus, using that focus wheel to adjust myself. But I've also got a little button here called autofocus. And that's what I love because now I'm completely out of focus. But if I click that button, bam, it finds me. In fact, I'm going to swing my microphone out of the way because it likes to pull focus on my microphone. There we go. Now it's got me. So that's one of the incredibly cool and useful features of if you have a full Blackmagic setup like this, where you've got the ATEM Mini Pro, you've got a couple of pocket cinema cameras, you can do loads of stuff. You really can. Hey, High Five Media. Come on, dude, you can at least tell us what it is. A couple of weeks. I promise you the video will be up within, I reckon it'll be up within a week. I've got 2 more videos already shot. I just need to edit them. But I want to put them all out in succession. But yeah, you could use stuff like Pro Presenter if you've got access to Pro Presenter, things like that. I'm debating between a Blackmagic Cinema Camera 4K or a Sony A7S Mark III. Any recommendations? I would say if you have the budget to, go for the 6K because a couple of my friends have got the 6K and it is like it's a step up, a definitely monetary step up, but it's also I truly believe like a step up with what you can produce on that thing. Some of the shots that I see, my friend Lawrence has got one, and he's forever posting beautiful stuff. The 4K, I've got two 4Ks. I absolutely love them. I love them for live stuff as well. I haven't used the Sony A7S Mark III. Again, I'm just using a Sony A6300 for my second live camera. It's great. Sony's are great. The one reason I would say go or stick Blackmagic if you're going to want to use them in the live space with the ATEM Mini Pro is if you're doing a full Blackmagic workflow, everything just works together. So when you plug in your Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K to your ATEM Mini Pro, you've got tally so that you can see which camera to look at or which camera's on air. You've got camera control on there, as I just showed you. I can autofocus, change the ISO, change the shutter speed, full camera control. And more importantly, I spent about 20 minutes getting this to look how it is. It'll be amazing if I showed you. You know what? We'll do it. I'm going to show you what it looks like out of the camera because you've got full DaVinci color correction as well. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to flick to here. I'm going to copy because I'm on camera 3. Right. So yeah, it's camera 3 I want to copy. So if I hit that, I think I need to go in the bigger view actually. Here we go. If I hit this, I'm going to copy all the settings for camera 3. And then I really hope they come back. I really hope they come back. So it looks like this right now for you. I'm just going to reset them. So this is what it looks like after me tweaking it for about half an hour. I'm going to copy it again just in case. Now I'm going to hit reset all. And this is what it looks like out of the camera without any changes whatsoever. So you can see like there's a big difference. Again, I'll apply that for you. So you've got a full DaVinci color adjustments. Oh no, it didn't save. It didn't do all the copy for. Oh, I've screwed up my shot, haven't I? Hold on, maybe I didn't save the profile properly. No, I spent so long creating that color profile. Let me quickly go back to it and see if I can tweak it. What do we have? I think was I -2 there maybe? Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, I think I just took down the gain. That's all it was. That looks about where I was before. But anyway, you have full color control there. It still looks a bit bright. RIP color profile. Sorry, my fault. It's okay, guys. Part of the fun with this thing, I mean, the one good thing, again, I'll just show you this actually. In the ATEM software control, your biggest friend in this thing is going to be File, Save As. Because that will create a restore file, and you know what? Maybe we'll get lucky. Let's see how far I got with my last restore file, which I think was this one. So I'm gonna restore, and I'm gonna restore just the color profiles or the camera profiles. Where am I? Camera settings. So I'm gonna select none, and then I'm gonna go camera settings. I don't know if I saved this just before going live because I was tweaking right up to going live, but let's see. Yeah, there we go. There we go. So now if I go back to number 3, it's back to what you're used for. So again, a really huge tip here is your best friend within the any ATEM software, to be honest, is File, Save As, and save a restore file whenever you're doing anything, because then you can go back if you start playing with stuff or breaking stuff like I just did, and you can restore whatever part of the ATEM you want, or you can just restore the whole thing back to how you have it. Huge tip there if you didn't know about the restore function. It's a stop or two overexposed now, Alex. Yeah, thanks, Drew. We got it fixed finally. How about using USB-C to HDMI adapter plugged into the ATEM Mini Pro USB port, says Gary. Gary, I asked Blackmagic about this. They said they didn't give a full explanation about why that wouldn't work, but they did say it wouldn't work. Possibly something to do with the protocols. Rohit asked a question. Just like you can adjust the focus from the Blackmagic cameras on the ATEM Mini Pro, can you adjust the zoom in and out as well? Yes. Now, for that to happen, you'd need a mechanical zoom. So a zoom, for example, again, we'll use this camera as an example. This is a Sony A6300 camera, but on it, I have I don't know what lens it is, 16 to 50. And there's a little rocker switch on here. If I just flip to it, you'll see. When I hold the rocker switch down, it's got a mechanical zoom. So It's just doing that. Now there are Lumix lenses and different power shot lenses, I think they're called, for micro four thirds cameras that do that. And if you've got one of those, you can go in to the software control. Let me just close this down. What do we want to do? We want to close that. And then that is exactly what this rocker would do, or for this camera would do here. That is your zoom control here. And I've used this on production. Pair that with a PTZ, pan tilt head, and then you've got the zoom in there, and it works brilliantly. So yes, the answer is yes. Couple more questions. We're getting up to the half. We've always been live for an hour. Can you copy and restore color profiles to all connected Blackmagic Pocket Cinema cameras? Yes. Let me just show you that quickly, which is what I tried to do before. It's worked all day, and then when I try and do it live, it didn't work. But technically what you could do is so let's say I've set up camera 3 exactly how I like it. Like, it looks beautiful, right? I can then apply that across all other cameras by clicking on this little button here. Actually, no, it's not that one there. It is, you have to make it this bigger, get rid of me, and then this button up here in the bottom right, top right hand side. Click that, and you've got copy, and you've also got paste and paste to all. So you want to copy that and then paste it to all your cameras if you want. So then you've got the exact same look across all your cameras, or you can just paste it to one. It's up to you. What I did before was I reset them all and then I pasted, but not everything happened. So definitely do a restore file as well, just in case. But that should work. Thank you for everyone that has put comments in, by the way. I'm slowly working my way through them. I'll go back through the comment chat as well after the broadcast to see any major ones that I've missed, and I'll include those in my next Q&A video as well. I've got about 5 videos to produce this week. 2 of them already shot. Those 2 need to be edited, but I've got so many ideas, and especially for this stream, I've even got ideas from this stream about next videos as well. So lots of Blackmagic Pocket Cinema content still to come. So if you are new here, welcome. If you're not yet subscribed, do please hit the subscribe button down below. There'll be a lot of Blackmagic tutorial content coming for you to get your teeth into, so that you know how to do various stuff across the Blackmagic range. I actually had a call with a lovely guy called Neil the other day, who was like, can you please help me with macros and help me set up my Blackmagic ATEM Mini Pro? So I help him set up some of the scenes and some macros and stuff like that, and he was like, you should sell some macros. These macros are great. So I might start doing that as well. Good. Thanks for the idea, Neil. So for those people that want to do complex macro setups in the Blackmagic or any Blackmagic range, just drop me an email or drop me a message here on YouTube, and yeah, I might just start selling some macros, because I use macros all the time as well. I received my ATEM Mini Pro. This is from Lars. I received my ATEM Mini Pro 2 days ago. Amazing equipment along with my 2 Blackmagic Pocket Cinema cameras. You are going to have fun with that setup, Lars. That's a great set. That's the exact setup that I use. 2 Pocket Cinema 4Ks and the ATEM Mini Pro, and I love it. You're late? Don't worry if you're late. I think, Pepe, did you ask a question in last week's video? I think I might have already answered a question from you. Your name rings a bell. Can I use a Type-C hub to record on flash drive and send signal to PC? Okay, so good question. I'm actually going to display this question on screen while I answer it, though, just in case anyone comes in and asks the same thing. So let me put this question on screen. 1 second. Who is this from? Dialography. Hopefully I've said that right. Apologies if I haven't. I've got a tendency to butcher names. So this is the question. Can I use Type-C hub to record on flash drive and send signal to PC as shown in OBS in the same time? Thanks, Alex. So let me cut to here and show you what I've got here. Now you might notice this here, right? So this is a USB-C hub. It's the same thing I use for my Mac, just to plug in a bunch of stuff in my Mac. And I've got a USB stick in there at the moment, and that is going via USB into the back of my ATEM Mini Pro. And you can see the disk sees it. If I flick to multi-view here, and you can see here, it notices the disk, says the disk name, says how much space is left on it. I'm not actually using it to record, but if I did, I could hit record here, and now you can see it is recording onto this USB stick via the USB hub. So yes, you absolutely can do that. The other cool thing that I've discovered is you can also use an SD card if you have. So you can see in this hub, there's an SD slot. And I put an SD card in that earlier and was recording straight onto SD, which is brilliant. I love that. So let me just stop recording. There we go. It's stopped. And come back to me. So the first part of the question, absolutely. Yes, you can. You can record via a USB-C hub. Can you do both at the same time, i.e. record and output as a webcam output to your computer? Unfortunately not. It's either or. You have to, the ATEM Mini, if you plug in a drive, it will go into drive mode. It won't drive away. It will just pick a drive. But if you plug in a computer, it will go into USB output mode. You can't do both at the same time, unfortunately. So I hope that solves that one for you. Thank you. No worries. Yes, I want to buy a micro for the right price. Do you mean the Blackmagic micro camera? They're great. I think I've got a couple. So can you see them on the shot? Yeah. So that black case there, I've got two of these Blackmagic micro camera setups that they're in a, let me get them. That's microphones. I have everything in the same type of case. There we go. That's a bit better. So for those of you asking about the micro cameras, they're really great. I use them a lot on live production. The great thing is I want to say same sensor, possibly, definitely the same mount. So they're micro 4/3 cameras as well, but look how diddy they are. Look at it. It's tiny. It's absolutely tiny, but they're brilliant. So the one thing, I don't really know if you could use it. I'd have to try it with the ATEM Mini because it does have an HDMI. I'm just trying to get it on the light so you can see. It does have an HDMI out, but that is for a monitor. So that's how you do all the setup of these cameras. I usually mount a monitor to the top, and then that's how you get into all the menus and set the camera up. But on the side, it has I think they're called div connectors. They're essentially tiny SDI connectors, and there's an SDI in, SDI out. So we actually use in our bigger studios up in London, we use 3 of these mounted, and that goes into we have a 40x40 Blackmagic video matrix. We've got 3 of those just looped in, and they're fantastic 4K footage. My only problem with them is they don't perform great in the dark, but anything else, they're brilliant. So yeah, I personally would say I think it's cheaper anyway, but go with the Pocket Cinema camera because you get all that camera control over the HDMI and things like that, and the color correction over HDMI, tally. So I would say better to go with the Pocket Cinema camera range if you're getting an ATEM Mini Pro. But if you're wanting a tiny camera and just put a lens on it, I know a lot of these that are used for things like filming car chases, because they're pretty dirt cheap, they're small, and it doesn't necessarily matter if they get destroyed because big production companies can just buy 100 of these. But yeah, they're great. And I've just done a 5-minute chat about micro cameras and then looked down and he's put in the chat, sorry, I mean micro settings. It's okay. You've now learned something new. You meant macros. I can talk very quickly, so I'll finish off on macros then. Let me go into, let me show you, here we go, the screen. So let me put that full screen so I can see it as well. So macros, essentially what they allow you to do, if we go back into the main thing, they allow you to automate processes. I'll close that, bring that. Let me just take me away for a second, close that. They allow you to automate processes. So essentially what I could do is you have a macros palette here, and to get that, just go to the top, click macros, and they allow you can record them. So let's say they're really hard for me to record on air and show you, because as soon as I hit record, it's basically recording whatever I do to the switcher. So if I switch away to the shot, you don't see it. But let's say we wanted a macro, and this is totally possible, I won't record it now, that we'll call it the start show macro. So what it will do is we'll start on the still. So we'll start on this still, for example. We'll then cut to me, and at the same time, it will turn on the audio because the audio is off. We don't want any audio leaking out before the show starts. And at the same time, it will bring in a graphic, for example. We could, instead of us having to run around the place pressing all these buttons, we could automate that process by hitting one macro button, and it would then basically do all that for us. And that is the power of macros. So when I was on the call with Neil the other day, what he wanted to do was set up a macro for essentially each camera angle that he had that would do all the keying for him, place him in the right part of the screen depending on which macro he clicked and things like that. And usually if you were going to do that, that's about a 3 or 4 step process. With a macro, you can take that down to a 1 button press. So that's the brilliant thing about macros. Couple more questions. Can you use internal encoder when streaming with OBS and Ecamm? Yes. So the options you have for outputs on this thing, obviously if you're using the multi-view, your HDMI output is going to be taken by that, which leaves 2 other outputs. Your internal streaming engine, I never know what they want to call it, internal hardware encoder, basically the live streaming element of the ATEM Mini Pro out via the Ethernet cable to the internet. So that's how you get one stream out. And then if you're not going to use the USB-C to record, you can use it to take it into a computer, and then you can run Ecamm, I think you said, or OBS. It's up to you. Right, I'm going to go back to our graphics and see if there's one more question. So we have, who have we got a question from? Let's have a look. We've answered the one about USB-C hubs. We've answered that. Do you know what? We might have answered pretty much most of the ones that were left on, or that I'd put into the graphics for other ones. So let me go back to the live chat, see if there's anything going on in there. Do you have any recommendations for creating software training content? For example, able to zoom in and out fast, show mouse clicks. Okay, so actually using the ATEM Mini Pro, or not necessarily ATEM Mini Pro, but using something for doing training content. I wouldn't do that on the ATEM Mini Pro necessarily, although it absolutely could. I'm a Mac user, so a lot of the software that I'm going to recommend is Mac, but there will be other products. So the reason I would suggest, I want to say it's called, hold on, I've got it on my computer, so I'll just check what it is called. I believe it's called ScreenFlow. So on Mac, I use ScreenFlow to do all my screen recordings. And the reason for that is it does all of the things that you've just asked for there, in terms of you just record the screen as you're doing your training, and then afterwards you can add in the mouse pointer highlighting, the zooming into certain areas and highlighting certain areas while you dim other areas, so it draws the focus into that area. You can do all of that in post afterwards using ScreenFlow for Mac. So I really hope that helps you if you wanted to do more of that. Can we monitor the audio from computer? Yes, that was a question. Here we go. Okay, so the final question, based on the one that who is that? Ginzam just asked in the chat. I had this question in as well. Oh, that was Gimson. There we go. I had your question already lined up from the other day. So you asked if you can connect, if you connect your ATEM Mini Pro via Ethernet, can you still carry monitor audio on the computer like in your video? Okay. I think I cut down your question a little bit to make it fit, so that's why I'm struggling to read it out. But essentially, yes. So let's say you're using Ethernet to stream, perfectly fine using the internal streaming engine. You're not wanting to record using the USB-C, so that frees up the USB-C to take it into your laptop as a webcam. Then you can do exactly what we discussed, or what I discussed in that video. Open up QuickTime and monitor the audio in QuickTime, or whatever it is, OBS, any software that can take the audio from that webcam input. You can plug in headphones and listen to. I'm listening to the audio right now by plugging into an external monitor, so I've got a feed of the audio that's going into the ATEM Mini as well. So to answer your question there, absolutely yes, you can. What you can't do is you can't monitor audio down the Ethernet connection, but I don't think that's what you were asking in your question. You were basically saying, if I'm using the internal streaming encoder, can I still take a feed to the webcam out? Yes, you can do that, as long as you're not wanting to use the USB-C for recording. Awesome. Hopefully I got through most of the major questions there. Any major ones that I didn't, guys, will be in my part 2 video of the ATEM Mini Pro Q&A. I'm going to try and do 3 parts of those, because I know as more and more people start to get them, more and more people will have more questions and want to do different types of things with them. So I'm planning on doing that as a 3-part series. the other videos that are coming to my channel. If you're new, and if you are, please do hit the subscribe button. And also, if you haven't yet and you've found this video useful, please hit the like button. It helps with the YouTube algorithm. It helps to put this higher in the searches and for more people to see it. So if you have found it useful, I'd really appreciate you hitting the like button on this, and leave a comment as well afterwards. Just let me know what parts you found useful. Yeah, other videos that are coming up on my channel. How to multi-stream with the ATEM Mini Pro. So I'll be going through from start to finish how to find the streaming XML file, which is how you edit the streaming profiles on the device. Showing you how to edit that. I'll also be providing a downloadable version that has a load of different locations in, so you'll be able to stream to Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Periscope. I'm not going to include Instagram on there, even though I do have a way of streaming to Instagram. It's not officially supported yet, so I can't include that one, but it will also include Restream, Caster, for if you're wanting to stream to multiple locations. And then yeah, the second half of that video actually shows you how to push a stream out from the ATEM Mini Pro to somewhere like Restream, and then distribute that to all of those locations that I've just mentioned. So that's coming on the channel. I did film a video which is actually, let me throw it out to you guys. I filmed a video which is how to hardwire your ATEM Mini Pro, because a lot of people were getting confused about the whole internet sharing thing, and a lot of people have been asking the question, well, can I hardwire everything, or do I need to get my internet over Wi-Fi to my Mac and then hardwire my Mac to the ATEM Mini Pro? And I think a lot of people got confused about that because of the press conference. So I filmed a video basically saying yes and showing you how to do it, a bit like I did earlier on in this live stream. Is it worth me releasing that, or because I've covered it in here, you don't think so? Over to you guys in the chat. Just let me know. Yes, release it. No, no point. And other stuff that is coming. I've got 2 more videos in the works. I just can't remember what they are now, but they will be on my channel as well. So if you are new, you've seen the little graphic going on in the top left-hand corner for the last couple of seconds. Hit the subscribe button, and you'll get notified about all of those. And turn on the notification bell, because otherwise YouTube doesn't really tell you when new videos are out. So that's up to you. Yes, release it. Okay, cool. 3 yeses is enough for me. I'll put it out there. So that'll be on the channel as well, showing you how to hardwire and connect everything up to a network switch so that everything is hardwired in. You're not worried about Wi-Fi and things like that. It's crucial. Release it. You've got it. It'll be out there probably within the next 2 days, because that one's already filmed. I've just got to finish off the editing for it. So there's the network one, the multicam streaming. There was another one I was going to do. I just can't remember what it was. There's another Q&A coming as well. There's a Q&A video coming. So if you do have any questions that I haven't answered between now and probably next week when I film that, you can put them in the bottom of this video. You can put them in the bottom of any of my videos about the ATEM Mini. I get notified about all the comments. And yeah, just thank you. Thank you for joining me on this live stream. I really hope you found it useful. Thank you for those that have gone and hit the like button and hit the subscribe button for more content as well. There will be a lot more ATEM Mini content on this channel, because I just love the device, and that's it's simple. Like, I love using it. I love showing people how to use it and how to make the most out of it. And hopefully, as I say, guys, you found this one useful. So I'm going to leave it there. Stay safe, stay at home, protect the NHS or wherever you're watching from. And yeah, just I'll see you guys soon.